Welcome to the Gold Split Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Gold Split Podcast. My name's CCNeverender, and I'm here with my co-host,
SquidBird.
Hey, we got a special guest with us, Paracusia.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going, man?
Yeah, very good, very good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, how's your New Year so far?
It's been great, honestly. Just spent it with family, just having drinks and stuff like that. It's really nice, very pleasant.
Nice.
Beving
it up.
So for those of you who don't know Paracusia, he has 6th place and 120 star for SM64. Also, the MU God King swept a bunch of world records on emulator last year, and also runs Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
So let's start off with Mario. What inspired you to begin speedrunning Mario? Like, what was it like in the beginning?
So I was actually I was into speedrunning for a very long time, since about 2010. I've been watching. I actually watched a lot of YouTube stuff. I watched Ocarina of Time was mainly my thing, and I actually was planning to play Ocarina of Time for a long time, but I never really got into it because of stuff like school, university. But one day, it was about mid 2015, I started watching more like Twitch, and I started watching people like Cheese Punky, Binny. Started watching them, and they were running Mario, and Mario was also like a really good game that I loved from my childhood. And I thought, wow, this rocks. It's honestly awesome. Like it's so fast. It's a different kind of speed game from Ocarina of Time, which I was still interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I Ocarina of Time on emulator, it's not very good. Nobody wanted to run it because it's not very accurate. So I thought I'd, pick up something else on emulator. So I thought, why not Super Mario 64? It's a lot easier to play on emulator, and it seemed fun. It seemed, my kind of thing. So I picked it up, and here we are, 6th place in 120 star.
Nice.
There you go.
So it was basically like the movement that you saw that won you over?
Yeah, the movement, it's so fast-paced. It's so... The skill ceiling for everything you can do in that game is just so high. You can practice and you can practice, and you just don't stop getting better. It's great.
You said you were interested all the way back in 2010?
Yes, I was interested in speedrunning for years before I actually started speedrunning.
Did you? I guess it was like YouTube stuff.
Yeah, I used to watch like the tool-assisted speedruns of Ocarina of Time. I watched like a lot of RTA as well. I watched the 100% world records. I'm a 100% guy. I love full completions of games in speedrunning. I love, I don't really care much about any percent, or, for Mario, I don't care much about like 0/1. I don't care about 16, even 70. I'm not like a super big fan of. It's always, the full completion of the game. I really get into it.
There's something to it for sure. There's even a marathon that I was part of called the Complete-a-thon, which is exclusively 100% or equivalent speedruns, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds sick, honestly.
Yeah, so what was your, how did you get so good? It's a simple question, but what do you think you did right in getting to the point you are now? Because even though you're 6th place, I'd say you're more than capable of getting world record, and your movement compared to a lot of the other runners is on par or even better than some of the players at the top. So how did you get there, and what was your mindset into getting to that spot?
I've always wanted to be the best at what I do. It stems all the way back to when I was playing World of Warcraft. I was pushing the leaderboards. I was trying to be the best hunter in World of Warcraft. So I've got that sort of a competitive mindset where I just want to push and try to become just a god gamer, basically. I just want to become the best at what I do. So with Mario, with that, at the very start, because there was so much, I don't know what you'd call like stigma around like starting the game and saying, "Oh, my goal is world record." people didn't like it. People, used to give other runners like a lot of shit just for saying, my goal is world record. My goal is something that's way better than what I'm currently at right now. So I started off and saying, I just want to get good. I want to become I didn't say explicitly I wanted to become a world record holder, which in the back of my mind was what I was thinking. But what I was saying was I just want to become a legend. I just want to. I just want to become known. I want to be known as a good speedrunner. And the way I got good, I think a lot of it stems from sort of the passion I have for speedrunning. I've always practiced for the long run, and that's something that not a lot of people actually do. A lot of people say, "Oh, but I just want to do the safe strat just to be consistent." But I've always said, why not just go fast for a long time and then just consistency will come to you, which is what happens. And, I feel like people like me and fast improvers like Liam Kings are just proof of that. I think having that pure speedrun mindset is probably how people get so good. Just from, just wanting to go fast and going fast and, yeah.
Yeah, not cutting corners with any safe strats.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff that will, make your muscle memory used to like the quote unquote comfy strats and stuff. You just wanted to avoid all that and go with the best strats right from the get go. And you still continue to improve them.
Yep, I've always put a lot of effort into maintaining my movement, making sure it's all very modern. We say movement and strats are probably two different things. Like strats, for example, let's say like pillarless, like the newer pillarless that was found, like Tama pillarless.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've always I did that. I started practicing that as soon as I knew about it because I knew it was going to be the next thing, the next strat. But in terms of movement optimization is more about the little like frame time saves. Like you can save like a 0.2 of a second with a certain movement. But that's always been my thing. I've always back probably about a year ago, or it was when Tago was really interested in doing 120, like for the long run. Him and I would just look at the ideal run, which is the 120 star RTA task. It's all like it's the human viable strats, but it's like done by a robot, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at that, and we were basically, a lot of people don't like the term, but we were setting the strat meta, like what should be done if you want to play at a top level.
Which I think should exist, like there should be the most optimum thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And we were putting in so much time, and we were posting videos, and we were saying, hey, this looks viable, we should practice it. It happened recently with Tall Mountain 100 coin. There was like a route that was found all the way back in like 2013, but nobody actually tried it in RTA. Everyone was just doing the same old. But it wasn't actually me. It was I think it might have been D whatever started practicing that on stream, and he was doing the movement that was in the old ideas video from back in 2013. I saw that and I'm like, wow, this looks really cool. And apparently it saves like maybe a second, or it saved like half a second, I think. So I picked it up and I started playing around with it, and I actually invented movement for that route, and that's currently the fastest TTM 100 coin route. And I think in the next maybe half a year to a year, more people are just going to start picking it up, and it's just going to become a thing.
I like the idea of like there's an old strat from 2013, and then it's like lost and then found again later, and it's like, oh hey, this could be faster. This is a fresh idea that was sort of lost on the people at the time. Like people didn't think about it at first, but I do like that.
I think I think the reason for that may have just been it may have just come down to the fact that we were a lot, or not we, because I didn't play back in 2013, but a lot of the runners back then were just a lot worse than how we are now. If you look back in like 2013 or even like 2015, we just sucked. Honestly, like all the runners, like especially in 120, just like we were doing like the most stupid shit. Like everyone, like even like Cheese when he was getting like his first world record, it just like it just kind of felt slow, like his movement. Obviously, it was still a good time. It was good, but just some of the stuff, like it was honestly bad. But I'm hoping in 3 years we can look back at 2019 and say, wow, we really sucked, because that would mean that we're just constantly evolving as a speed game.
Yeah, and that's good. Crazy how it's just things get optimized over time. Yeah. It seems like that was the most optimal thing at the time, but players got better. We've always that's speedrunning in a nutshell, right? We got better.
Yeah, I've always found there's two different factors into like a speedrunner. There's the physical, like what they do, and there's the mental, like what they would do.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like me, I feel like I don't have a lot of limits to what I can pick up in a run. Like I'll pick up some pretty crazy movement and I'll do it, and I'll practice it. But there are some things that I think, maybe this isn't a thing now, but maybe down along the line, in a year to 3 years, we'll start doing it. And there's been a lot of that recently, especially like even some single star movement, which is usually just insane movement. Even some of that we've started like looking at in TikTok clock, like when the for the 3 time moving stars, we do like a triple jump up onto the pendulum, up onto like the spinning platforms. Usually we just do a triple jump and like turn around, but there is a strat right now that was used in single star a lot, where you just do a side flip and do a bunch of wall kicks, and you need like this crazy angle. But I actually started practicing it a lot recently, and I thought, wow, this might actually be a thing, in the next year or two. People might start be picking this up, and it saves, like if you do it for 2 out of 3 of the stars, it could save like, God, it's like a second and a half if you do it for both stars, and that's a big time save.
That is a big.
Yeah, that's a big deal when a run is already so optimized.
How do you go about practicing that? Do you just do it, grind it out over and over and over? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly all you can do. You just hit level reset every time you screw up, and I try to think about why I'm screwing something up, why it's not working. So for that stuff, for example, it was usually at first, when I first picked it up, or when I first started trying it, it was because I wasn't wall kicking fast enough. I wasn't getting to the part where you wall kick soon enough to be able to side flip, and I figured that out. I went, okay, I'll make the triple jump faster. I'll make my double jump lower, and I'll try to get like a first frame wall kick. And then I was messing up like the side flip angle, and I was like, okay, what angle works? So I was just trying, like, it's all trial and error. You just try different angles.
Right.
Once you find an angle that works for you, because mind you, no controller is exactly the same, so you got to find out what works for you. Then you go from there, and you just try to figure out the start at a technical level. And I feel like that's what a lot of people like these days. A lot of people will try to rely too much on other people to tell them what to do instead of figuring it out for themselves. Because once you figure it out for yourself, then you just you understand that start, and you can be, okay, yeah, I can actually, instead of relying on muscle memory, I can actually think about it when I'm doing a run. I can think about what I have to do instead of just, like, some people just mindlessly grind stuff and they'll mess it up and they won't know how to back it up. Like even practicing backups, it's a whole like mindset thing. Mindset is just completely separate from like actual technical skill, and I think that's what separates a lot of the top runners from a lot of the lower level runners, is just like what they're thinking.
Yeah, and there's a big difference in just knowing how to do a strat and actually understanding why it works, and like getting that experience of like constantly failing and then pinpointing each and every individual mistake and learning something from that. That definitely makes a huge difference in consistency and just overall performance. I agree 100% with that.
Same. And that's what I love. That's what I love about practicing is figuring that stuff out for yourself. It's a big payoff. Like when you figure it out, you completely. It's like you just become woke. Like your eyes open. You're like, wow, I understand this stuff completely. Yeah, your brain just like expands through the universe.
So where do you see yourself with SM64 at the end of 2019? What's your goal?
My goal has, for actually almost a year now, my goal has been to have the world record by the end of 2019. And I've always been someone that doesn't just make... I don't just say this stuff and not do it. Like, if I say I want the world record by the end of this year, you probably already know that I'm just going to go as hard as I can. I'm going to play my heart out. I'm going to try to get that world record. But yeah, end of 2019, world record for sure. That's what I want. I can't guarantee it, but I at least have enough confidence. That I can just say that I think I can get it by the end of the year.
Well, I definitely think you can get it. You have what it takes. You just need to get that God run and
get the God run. It's like my current PB was sort of a God run up until right at the end, up until like Bowser in the Sky. I was still on 140 pace in Sky, but I kind of choked a bit. But that was still a really good run for me, honestly.
Other than Mario 64, you, like we mentioned earlier, you do play Ocarina of Time. Is that something you also plan on taking seriously like you do with SM64, or is it just like another thing to run?
That's actually a pretty complicated question right now, because I've been contemplating like taking a break from grinding runs in Mario, because obviously I'm still going to be playing Mario with like all the upcoming tournaments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think I just need sort of a mental break from grinding, 120 star runs. And I didn't want to move on to another category, because then I feel it would just be exactly the same as taking a break. Because what I'm interested in is 120. But with Ocarina of Time, I've run Ocarina of Time before. I've done 100%, and I think it's sort of a smart move for my mentality, because it's sort of it makes me it pretty much forces me to have longer streams, and that's something I've always struggled with. From like mid 2016 onwards, I kind of struggled with having like really super long streams, like streaming over 5 hours. But with Ocarina of Time 100%, if I'm doing attempts in that, and if I finish a run, that's like a guaranteed almost 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like 4.5 or something, and that's if I finish a run. I could be like doing attempts for about an hour and then finally finish a run. So that's a long stream, and it conditions me for it. It's all about that conditioning. And I think when I actually started doing 100% runs, it really did help in the long run. With my mindset with streaming for a while. It got me used to like obviously my viewer base wasn't as big, but I still got chatters. Like I could chat for longer instead of like chatting for the first hour and then just going quiet, just going like, yeah, because that actually happens, and not a lot of streamers talk about it, but that's something that actually does happen to a lot of streamers, is that you'll be streaming for you'll see a streamer stream for like 6 hours, but they'll be really chatty in the first couple of hours, but towards the end, I think they just get like mentally exhausted.
Yeah, I agree. Personally, I find that I can be chatty if I have people to chat with. So every once in a while, it's like you go into sort of like a late night stream, and it's sort of the chat dies down and it's almost dead. And then I find it hard to just talk to myself. In that situation, I'm just gonna be quiet until somebody says hi, and then I'll be happy to chat. But
yeah,
I do know what you mean by it's like after a couple hours, you're just like, I'm just gonna be sitting here playing this game. Like I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to keep a conversation going that I'm not really interested in. I'm just gonna focus on the game.
Yeah, it's hard. It's honestly like that's why I really respect some big streamers, is that they can be streaming for 8 hours and just be talking constantly. Imagine how like if I did like an 8-hour Mario stream, which I have done like a few times before, I would just feel exhausted. I'd want to go to bed, and I'd wake up and I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'd just be like super antisocial for the next like day.
Yeah.
they do it every day, and like the full-time streamers. It's something I need to improve on, but I feel like it's just because I'm introverted or something. I'm not sure.
I think a lot of us are.
Yeah.
So let's move on. We've been talking about specific games that you play, but let's talk more about you. So you are sponsored by Blue Esports.
Yes, I'm a part of their speedrun team, which was founded. What was it founded? Maybe mid 2018. I'm not sure exactly when it was founded, but I got approached by Kevin Crunch, who is actually a part of the Blue Esports organization. He's like a staff or something, and he must have said, speedrunning. Like, I'm a speedrunner. Like, Kevin himself is a speedrunner, but he must have said, yeah, I think this is a worthwhile investment. So he approached, a few runners, and he approached me, and I said, well, yeah, I think that'd be cool. Honestly, like, I think because I'm so passionate about speedrunning, I think it shouldn't be something like that's considered, because I know there's always those arguments where, like, oh, is speedrunning a hobby, or can it be a job as well? Or I feel like why does there have to be a line? Why does there have to be like a difference? Like, if you're speedrunning, if you're speedrunning like 8 hours a day, I think you should be able to make money. I think you should be at like, I think especially if you're like popular. I think so let's say I get signed to Blue Esports, I get popular, and like other teams, well, this is already happening, but other teams look at that and say, oh, so they have like a speedrun team, and they're making like they're like monetizing it pretty much. They're making money off of it from sponsors. We should try the same thing. And we're saying this with like CLG. Like CLG picked up.
I was going to ask you about CLG.
At first, it was actually Beast Coast, but I believe Beast Coast might have been. What happened to Beast Coast? I'm not actually sure what happened to Beast Coast. I don't know if they're still there in team, or they might have been acquired by CLG for all I know. But
I think like two of them stayed with Beast Coast. Like,
okay,
two of the other speedrunners.
So they literally just got poached.
Yeah.
That happens. That happens. Honestly, like it's if you get a better offer you need to think of yourself as like a business. Like, if you get a better offer, then you sort of have to take it because you're trying to make a living.
Yeah, which you are earned, or what you have earned, right? Like,
you definitely have earned.
People will spend a ton of time, several hours per stream, and usually several streams per week. They're putting in all this time and all this effort. They're even putting some of their own money into their own equipment and stuff like that. It's definitely something that if people enjoy that, and that's a service or whatever that you provide, quote unquote service or product, or whatever you want to call it, like, you should be paid for that. If that's something that you are really passionate about, or that you should be able to monetize that, I should say. I don't want to say you're entitled to payment, but you should definitely be able to monetize that if you so choose.
Yeah, well, we've seen this for a long time with YouTube. Like, this isn't a new thing. This isn't Twitch and speedrunning and like the sort of you know how there's like categories. Like, you can be an IRL streamer, you can be like a variety streamer, a pro streamer, or like a speedrunner.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen this all on YouTube, and people have been making money off YouTube before Twitch got big, before like Justin TV got big. People were already making money, so I think we should just look back and say, like, we should look at the path that YouTube took into like monetization, and just like reflect on it. Like, why is this anything different?
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases it's not that different.
Yeah, exactly.
But just to clarify, Beast Coast had 2 streamers? I'm not sure.
They had 6, I think, and then 4 of them got poached by CLG.
Oh, okay. Just make sure I understood that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on CLG coming in and getting 4 big names? Like, normally, like when I think of like esports or whatever, I think of, teams usually pick like 1 or 2 people if it's like a single kind of game, or like they pick 5 or 6 people for a team. But CLG's picking 4 big names. I don't see like any other big esports like TSM or Evil Geniuses or anybody like that. I don't see them out there picking up any new people. What are your thoughts on them?
I think it's fantastic. I think CLG picking up those names, eventually, I think other big organizations like you said, TSM, CLG, like Curse and stuff like that, they will probably have to start looking at it, because it's the same with, for example, like Super Smash Brothers Melee. For a long time, that wasn't like sort of esportsy, but when like people started getting sponsored, it was sort of like a chain reaction. And it grew to the point where, like, you know, you have people like Leffen, who is doing a fucking fantastic job streaming right now on Twitch. He's getting so many subscribers and stuff. And he's playing Super Smash Brothers, which, you know, once you look back at it, wasn't very big. And I've always felt like Melee has sort of been like a close relative to speedrunning. There's so much crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That I think once you think about it, it's probably going to happen. Like, it's probably going to happen. The same thing's probably going to happen with speedrunning. You know, speedrunning wasn't very big before 2010, I'd say. But, like, in the 2010s, it's sort of grown over time. And we saw the same thing with Melee. Before like, 2008 or something with Melee, it was sort of, like, wasn't, like, super huge. But then it started just growing from there. So I think we can look at that as an example of like what we should strive for as like a quote unquote esport. I don't know. It's hard to say if we should be considered an esport yet, but people like GSA, for example, the Global Speedrun Association, and Speed Gaming, they've been trying to get this out to more people as a competitive thing.
What are your thoughts on them? Like, I think personally that I like the professionalism, and I like how they're sort of bringing more light and more interest into the speedrunning, the sort of like the racing competition side. There's a couple of things I'm not really a fan of with GSA in particular, but I still appreciate that somebody's out here trying to make it sort of more professional.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I like to come back to the whole Melee thing. There were certain, you know, organizations that were trying to do the same thing. I don't know specifically who it was in Melee because I wasn't around back then. But I know, I remember someone saying that VG Bootcamp was one of those like organizations that tried to make it sort of esportsy.
Mm-hmm. VG Bootcamp to this day is still like the #1 broadcaster for Melee content. Like, they get flown out for every single event because they are the top-notch people. So yep, VG Bootcamp is for sure, like, they are the ones who, like, they had a weeklies at Xanadu and they had all this stuff where they kept pushing, and they said, this is going to be a big deal. We're going to be professional, have a professional layout. We're going to have commentators and casters, and we're going to fly people in. They definitely raise the level of production there. And
I think that's what GSA is trying to do right now. I think, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. That, you know, they're getting a lot more exposure. They're getting front page. They, you know, like, a lot more people are tuning in and seeing how competitive and how, like, you know, passionate people can be for speedrunning. Like, just because it's not like built to be competitive. Like, just because the games that we run aren't supposed to be like speedrun and be competitive doesn't mean that it can't be. And exactly. I think that's like a big message that people need to understand to get into speedrunning.
So you recently spoke out on Twitter about scheduling conflicts with GSA. Mm-hmm. Would you mind going into detail about like what happened there?
So this all, I don't want to say it's drama because it really wasn't drama. It was just me speaking my mind about. So back a while ago, I can't remember what it was. Speed Gaming held a 70-star tournament. It was huge. There were so many people. It was double elimination, and there was a lot of scheduling to do. And I really struggled to try to get a good time because I myself live in Australia, and I think it's fine when I used to be a lot better with this because my sleep schedule would be a lot worse. So I'd be awake. I'd wake up at like 1 a.m. and like be awake through the morning. So that would give me plenty of opportunities to schedule. But this was when I actually fixed my sleep schedule. I was trying to get my life like in check, basically.
Right.
And a lot of the people that speedrun, especially Mario, especially in these tournaments, are from like America, Canada, and like all that. And when they always want to schedule when it's convenient for them. I want to schedule when it's convenient for me because I don't like being put at a disadvantage because it is like I always try to avoid playing the game when I've like soon after I've woken up because I know for a fact I've always played worse, and you can see this as proof in some of my recent race performances. And I just, after that whole speed gaming tournament, I got to the point where I'm just like, if I have to schedule with someone, I'm just going to say, screw it, just schedule and I'll wake up. I'll just wake up. I'll set an alarm and I'll wake up and I'll just do the race. And because like they wouldn't, we couldn't come to an agreement. Like I could never come to an agreement with like someone from the States.
Yeah, it's tough because the time zones are so different. But I think Americans in particular are spoiled because we're such like a central point where it's like everything is based off of like EST, right? Eastern Standard Time. It's almost like the de facto. It's like the new prime meridian, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone focuses on that. And so it's like, hey, are you guys available at like 10 p.m. EST? And it's like, oh no, I live in Australia. That's like -13 GMT or whatever. I don't even know what the number is, but I'm just
-10, yeah, for me.
-10. So it's like, okay, so that means you're, you know, an extra several hours behind. Like, okay, well, that's gonna be like maybe in that stance. Like maybe it's let's do 6 p.m. on Saturday. It's like, well, that's like 10 a.m. or whatever. I'm gonna be at work or whatever. So
yeah. It's like I was fine for a little bit. I was like, I'm just gonna do this. I'll get it over and done with. I want to take part in these things because, like I said, I'm passionate about speedrunning. I want it to grow. I'm one of the top runners, so if I take part, maybe people will be like, oh look, like, you know, Cheese, Punky, Para, they're all in these tournaments, so we should tune in because we're gonna see good gameplay. But it sort of started going downhill. I got people started like newer people to speedrunning were like seeing my performances in races, and mind you, races mean nothing like in terms of like skill. People were seeing my performances in races and it was leaking over into my stream. People would come in and say like stuff like, oh, you got destroyed by, you know, someone with like a 5-minute worse time than you. And it's like, yeah, I didn't want to make excuses. And I said, yeah, I just lost. It's just, yeah, I suck at races. That's all, which I do. It all sort of built up to the point where I was having a lot of issues with my living situation, and I was staying with I couldn't sign a new lease because because it got like sold and it was going to get knocked down, so I had to move out like pretty short notice.
Oh wow. Yeah,
and I moved. I said, I don't have enough money. I need to stay with you, Mum. Please let me stay with you. And she said, yeah. Okay, but you and I said, what do I do about my setup? I still need to stream because I still make income off of it. And she said the only way you can do it is like if you set it up outside, because she has like a dining setting outside. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll stream outside. Yeah, it was sort of undercover, but it was hard because I would have to like mute my microphone a lot because it was windy. It was always windy where she lives because there's nothing out the back. It's just like a big field.
That's so weird.
Yeah, but I had to stream
outside, guys.
You know what though? For the week that you did the streams outside, it was actually pretty cool. Just
yeah, like, no, it was nice. It was nice when it was nice like during the night because it was like cool, and it was like during the time it was hot in Australia. It's still hot in Australia. But yeah, the breeze
summer there now, right?
Yeah, it's summer. It's very hot. Yeah. But the boiling point, or like the straw that broke the camel's back, was when I tried to get a time that was around 11 p.m. for me, but the racer couldn't get very late, so I woke up at around 4:30 a.m. and my race was like 6. And halfway through the race, because I'm not awake at this time ever, because like I was waking up at around 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how bad it would be, but in the midway through the race, I was winning, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't going too bad. And then suddenly the sun comes up, and the sun just happened to position at the best point to give me the worst glare possible on my CRT, and like my setup, I couldn't like rotate the TV or anything, so it was just like it was like blaring onto my TV, and I couldn't see anything. Like I actually have a photo. I took a photo after the race, and it didn't even look like the N64 was turned on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was tired. I was sick of it. I was annoyed. So I said in the post-race interview, I'm done with GSA. That's what I said. I'm done like trying to schedule around like American time. So yeah, I was just like, I was so annoyed. And then I made a tweet about it. when I was saying this stuff, this was what annoyed me. I wasn't attacking GSA because I love what GSA is doing. One of the founders of GSA actually took it as like an attack on them, and just like kind of got mad at me on Twitter. And yeah, I don't know. It sort of turned into drama when it wasn't supposed to be drama, and that's why it got a lot of like attention.
I gotcha. It's
Yeah,
a
that's the
shame
story.
that. Okay, I was about to say it's a shame that that you have to deal with that. Like, it's a shame that more people aren't more flexible, because it sounds like you're like just bending over backwards to be, compatible with everybody else, but nobody's willing to bend for you, and that's a real shame, because you're getting the short end of the stick every single time.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said on Twitter. I said it was a bit more explicit, but I said something like I'm tired of scheduling around kids that suck at scheduling, pretty much.
Yeah,
and which was true. Like a lot of the people I was racing, especially in the speed gaming tournament, like the 70-star tournament, were pretty young and had like school and stuff, so they couldn't schedule too late. And that was what I was referencing. And GSA like thought I was like attacking their races and I was attacking them and stuff like that. So it sort of like got blown out of proportion. And the funny thing is, the guy that replied to me on Twitter, like one of the founders of GSA, actually messaged me not too long ago asking me to be a part of both the 70 and the 16-star league in GSA, and I accepted. I bet. I mean, I accepted because I'm at my new house now.
Yeah.
But I still want to try to make scheduling better for me. Like, I want to be able to be up for a fairly for like a while before I have to stop playing the game, because I'm one of those people. I don't suck at waking up, but I just don't move as well when I'm, like when I'm just woken up, or like I need there to be like a 3 or 4 hour period before I actually start playing a game, before I can play good after waking up.
I need like an hour personally. Like, I have a personal rule where I can't drive unless I'm awake for at least 30 minutes. So one time I woke up really late for work, or not really late. I was like 10 minutes before work started. So I'm like, okay, really, literally rolled out of bed, put my jeans on, put my work shirt on, grabbed like a bottle of water and walked out the door. And as I was driving to work, I'm like drifting off mentally, and I'm sort of like drifting into the lane. I'm like, oh wait, I think I hit a curb once. I'm like, okay, this is it. No more. Can't do this anymore. This is dangerous. Yeah. This is so bad. I can't do this right now.
I'd say driving, because I used to do that. I used to wake up 30 minutes before I left for work, and I think with driving it was fine. Like, mentally I'm fine, but it's more like when I'm moving my hands playing the game, like I lose a lot of like flexibility when I've woken up. And I don't know if it's like this for a lot of people, but I sort of have to like maybe even go out for a run or something before I'm like,
okay,
sort of ready to start playing.
Exercise. Do you do any stretches?
I actually have to stretch before games because I have not a lot of people know this, but in my left hand I have super bad arthritis. Oh, wow. And also, I have pretty bad nerve damage too, which means I can't actually make a closed fist. I can make about half a fist, and that's it. And also, my left index
I actually didn't
finger.
know that.
Yeah, my left index finger won't go. It's not even anywhere close to 90 degrees bend. It's like it's a lot further than 90 degrees. It's more like 140 degrees. That's how far I can bend it.
Well, dude, respect to you for being able to play as well as you do. Despite having
I'm lucky I don't have like carpal tunnel or like tendonitis like simply, but
I'm a little bit worried because like I think what I'm feeling in my left hand is carpal tunnel. So like I don't know if I should go. I should probably see a doctor, to be honest, because
I'd say see a doctor.
Yeah, I want to be able to like continue speedrunning Mario, and it honestly sucks not being able to, especially like after getting like super motivated like right before the whole hand thing happened. But
yeah. I feel like that's what happened to Simply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really felt bad for Simply because he got like a 140-10, and that was like he was so close to 139.
Yeah.
He was playing better than everyone else. He was playing better than Cheese at the time, and he was like if he kept playing, he would have gotten the world record for sure. But the problem is, like, he started, his hands started hurting, his wrists, not his hands, but his wrists started hurting. And yeah, he ended up with like tendinitis and, you know, carpal tunnel, and had to get surgery for like carpal tunnel release. It's honestly, it's a shame. It's honestly like, I'm hoping he does come back, and I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping he can have like play healthily again.
Mm-hmm. But with like Simply, he honestly really inspired me, because despite having, you know, lost the ability to play the game, he turned it around. You know, hosted a tournament, or started hosting tournaments, and still kept on streaming, and got pretty successful at it. And it was really inspiring to see that despite being set back that much and not being able to continue running, he took the high road and worked out for him. So
yeah, Simply, he's honestly like, he's a character.
Yeah,
he's really like, I can't think of anyone that like dislikes Simply. He's just funny. He you know, he's just, yeah, the Simply character is just, I think it's what like speedrunning needs.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, like, you know, Simply commentating like, you know, high profile races like grand finals and stuff like that. I think Simply is the man to do it, because he's not super esports, but I think once you go to esports, then people start losing interest, because they're like, oh, you know, maybe there's just maybe it's just for money sort of thing. Because like when you think of esports, you think of like money, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what a lot of people do on Twitch.
And it's funny because Simply loves to beg for bits, but he does it in such a way that you can't hate it.
Yeah. Honestly, like
his attitude is just so good.
Yeah, it's something that like Punk and I have sort of picked up, like the whole like sell out thing, you know, like begging for bits, like begging for money and stuff like that. It's not like it's not super serious begging. It's like, oh, I need money, please, you know, like it's just like, yeah, give me money, bitch.
You turn it into a joke, and then it starts working out.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's like almost, you know, being self-aware of like Twitch streamers are, like the big ones, and just kind of like in making fun of it, you succeed in it. So it's a pretty neat little thing there. But I want to move on to another topic. So a few episodes ago, we spoke with official Artemis 64, and at the time, all the R White Goose news was pretty fresh. So we spoke about his ban from GDQ. And what I want to bring up with you specifically, since we've talked about it before, is the video in which Apollo Legend sort of defended our White Goose. And, you know, it caused a lot of controversy, because you could say that it was heavily biased. And the consequences are that, you know, a lot of people don't know the entire context of what happened around Goose. So I wanted to kind of pick your brain on what are your thoughts on Apollo Legends video, and, you know, the consequences of something like that in the speedrunning community. Okay, so my thought is, when I saw that video, I'm like, okay, I know, like, my thought on Apollo Legend is that I know he's friends with our White Goose. I know he's not a good person. I've said this for a long time. I had this sort of like feeling, like every time I saw one of his videos, I'm like, what is with this guy? It's sort of like, I got really confused about it. Like, I'm like, what? And then he made that like that video about Oceanside, and that was when I was like, okay, this guy's trying to scam people with like a what do you call it when you raise money for something?
There was like a GoFundMe?
Yeah, like one of those things.
Or a Kickstarter?
And I'm like, yeah, Kickstarter, that's it. Or like, you know, something like that. And I'm like, I'm at first, I'm like, this won't happen. And then once I thought about it, I'm like, people are going to try to get it. People are going to donate towards it because they want to see like these high profile speedrunners like Cheese, and there was a bunch of people announced, like there was Cheese, there was like
Trihex, or maybe
Trihex,
Caleb
yeah, Caleb Hart. Yeah, all these people were announced, like all these really high profile people, and he's like, I want to fly them out and stuff like that, and he had to raise funds for it. And the way the website he used, I can't remember which one it was. I actually researched it, and when you'll donate to it, and if it doesn't get met, you'll get your money back.
Mhm.
But the thing is, all of my thoughts, like I honestly like believed it was a scam. It was like some sort of scam, and then it all came to fruition when it actually got met from like 2 separate anonymous donations that were actually from Apollo Legend.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, so he put in his own money to get this other money. That's what I was thinking. And I'm like, yeah, he's a shifty person. He's shady. He's like trying to get all this money. I don't like him, honestly. Like, to be, in my honest opinion, I don't like Apollo Legend. I don't like his content. I think he tries to turn people against like GDQ.
I definitely
And
feel that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that he's trying to turn people against GDQ because it's the most popular like event for speedrunning. It's like trying to turn people against like the Super Bowl or some shit. Like that's what he's trying to do. And that's what we need. We need these popular we need these popular organizations like GDQ to push speedrunning to the general gaming population so they know about it. And he's trying to turn people against it. And I didn't like that because I love speedrunning and I want it to grow and keep growing. I want to be able to make a living off of what I love. So that's what I thought about Apollo Legend. And when he made that video about Our White Goose, I had known about like the controversy surrounding Our White Goose for a very, very long time, for like a year and a half at that point. I knew what the kind of person he was. People didn't really sort of there was no exposure. There was no like he didn't get super exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this huge Imgur album with just like 100 images, 100 screenshots of
Like
White Goose saying
140
like,
something.
yeah, it was over 100. That's all I remember. It was over 100. It later got deleted, but someone re-uploaded it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just full of him saying like the most absurd stuff, like some pretty nasty stuff towards like the Jewish race, and like, you know, like there was a lot more. I don't want to go into it, but
Yeah.
he was saying some pretty bad stuff. And I can't remember if it was me or someone else tweeted it, and I may have retweeted it or something because I already knew about it. But I was trying to sort of like make it public because I don't want to like ruin the man's life. But if you're saying stuff like that and people don't know about it, I think that you at least deserve some sort of like retribution. So, well, it's true. Like, honestly, like you can't say stuff like that behind people's back. Like what if
there's definitely a punishment for the crime, you know? Like if you're going to be a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, you know, white nationalist person, and you're going to be transphobic and racist.
I think people should know about it. Yeah,
people should know
about it,
especially when he's a big influencer. Like a lot of people know about speedrunning stuff because of Goose's videos and his content. It's like if the people don't know that he's this way, then he could very slowly like sort of drop little hints and stuff for, I don't know what he'd wants to do, but
yeah. And in the Apollo Legend video, like you see that people are still supporting Goose, and there's like outright ignorance where people like don't know the whole like story. They won't go and read the whole Imgur albums because Apollo Legend just says like, oh, there's a lot of images here, but they don't matter. I think they do matter. They're like,
yeah,
that's what the whole like deal is about. It's the things that he said.
I tried to I tried, like, even after that video was made, I made a comment and I was like, you should probably, like, to Apollo Legend, I was being kind of condescending, but I said, you know, if you're gonna make a video of this nature, you should probably do more research. And then I didn't actually link the album, but someone actually commented and say, why are you saying this stuff without evidence? So I linked the album. And that sort of got a little bit of attention. But then someone called a fellow Australian called Dark Viper made a video about it, and that got some attention too. And it sort of brought some more like stuff to light. Like, he explained that there was that album and went through the Apollo Legend video and like sort of tore it to pieces. Pretty much, it was brutal.
And kind of to bring it full circle, like I think Dark Viper's point, because I also saw the video, was that, you know, Apollo Legend was trying to make money off of that video, right? And even in the video that Apollo Legend made, he said, I'm not going to post these things because I want this video to be monetized. It wasn't verbatim, it was something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
goes back
he
to
did.
like the whole money scam that was around Oceanside. Like, like the only goal he has in producing this content and like defending Goose is money.
Yeah, it's just all money. It's all money to him, and that's why what I don't like about it. They're trying to. He's okay. So, how can I convey this? It's not like, let's say, a team like CLG picking up a like a top runner for a game, like a very popular streamer. It's not like that. It's sort of the more shady, capitalizing on drama sort of stuff with Apollo Legend. Like when people were getting banned from GDQ, all of a sudden there's the announcement for Oceanside. Like, I made you hate GDQ. Now support me with this new, better event, or quote unquote better. And that was like the big red flag for me. It's like, yeah, no, this isn't on. And then he's making content, so obviously he wants to monetize it, which I think is fine. But I think the way he goes about it, and Dark Viper did explain this very well in his video. Was just downright like filthy to me. It's the filthy way of making like money off of YouTube and off of drama.
It's manipulative, and it's I don't know. It's really dangerous too.
Yeah, exactly.
What we talked about with Artemis was that, is there a path to redemption for anybody who does these sorts of things, right? Like, there's always a punishment for a crime, right? But after the punishment is over, that means that person can come back.
Yes.
So in this situation with someone like Goose, is he allowed to come back ever? Right? And we were thinking, oh, well, maybe it'll be a couple years before, people finally forget and people kind of move on. And yet, I said, I think slowly but surely he's going to creep back in because people are going to forget about what he did, and he's going to put out more videos, and he's going to sweep under the rug. And Apollo Legend is definitely fast tracking this because he's like defending Goose, and he's another big content creator. So when he goes, oh, Goose is fine. Goose, he said a couple of bad things, but he's okay. He's a real good guy. He's all these SJWs out here that are, trying to take down a good, solid man. It's like I don't know where I'm going with it, but the point is that it's like he's pushing this narrative of like Goose is not a bad person, and that's gonna expedite the process where people forget about it or just blatantly ignore the fact that he's a terrible person to go back to being what they want.
So this matter is actually really complex. I think you can redeem yourself depending on how bad the stuff you did. I think redemption is possible, but it doesn't, like you said, you can't fast track it. It doesn't, like making a paste bin or like a tweet longer or whatever it was, saying you're sorry and it won't happen again. It's not good enough. Mm-hmm. It really isn't good enough. It's the same. This is a lesser thing, but I've always believed, like splices, for example, someone that's cheated in speedrunning, I think they can be redeemed. One of our biggest, one of the biggest people that like optimize and like that with most knowledge in about Mario, it was actually a splicer. And then there's also I probably should name them, but there was another speedrunner that runs Mario now that actually cheated in a game he ran previously and was basically like run out of the community. But I think he's done enough work. He's done enough hard work to redeem himself, and he doesn't bring it up. He doesn't he's basically over it. He's putting it behind himself, and he's trying to become better as a speedrunner, as a person. So I really think that these things do exist. But for something on the level of on the scale of like all the white supremacy and like all the stuff that Goose did, I think it's gonna take a long time, if never. I don't know if there's gonna be a redemption. I think you can't just change yourself at that level over the course of like a couple of years.
Yeah,
you definitely can't take back like something you said a few weeks or a month ago.
Yeah.
Like, and just say, I completely reversed my opinion on it. Mm-hmm. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move on from here.
Yeah.
I also wanted to touch upon one more thing with you, and it's the fact that you're a DJ and producer alongside being a speedrunner. And so I just wanted to start off with your history with music. Like, how did you get into it? How long have you been doing it? And what are your plans with your music career?
So when I first started, because my main music, a lot of people might know just from like watching my stream. I play a lot of it. My main sort of music is like hard style. I'm into hard dance music, and that's like that's sort of a wide range of genres in the electronic dance music scene. It's the more hard hitting stuff. But hardstyle, I started listening to hardstyle around 2005, 2006. I was very young then, obviously. I'm only 22 now. But I heard it and I'm like, wow, this is really good. I heard some of the, like back in like 2005, 2006, that was before hardstyle was sort of like a defined genre. You could, like, some hardstyle songs back before 2006 could be considered like hard trance or hardcore or something like that. But after 2006, which happened to be when I started listening to it, was when it started defining itself. So it's super new type of music. It's way newer than a lot of like the popular mainstream EDM sort of musics. But I started listening to it, and I listened to it for 4 years. And around 2010, I'm like, I started realizing I had sort of a creativity, because I tried art a little bit when I was younger, and I wasn't too bad at it, but I felt like I wasn't super creative enough, like visually.
Mhm.
But when I was listening to this music, I was like hearing my own melodies in my head. I was hearing like my own sounds, and I'm like, I need to get this out. So I picked up Fruity Loop Studio. I started producing on that. This was 2010, and come like 2012, I was making full tracks in an audio workstation called Cubase. I ended up switching off of Fruity Loops onto Cubase because Cubase had a lot of better tools to create hardstyle. Because hardstyle is a very you need a lot of specific distortion plugins, for example, to make the typical hardstyle kick sound. So I produced a lot. I definitely produced a lot. Like I would 2010 to 2013 was when I was playing a lot of WoW. I was playing WoW like all day, every day, pretty much. If I wasn't at school, I would still be logged into WoW if I was at school. That's why my playtime is so big. But yeah, started producing. Come 2013, I sort of defined my own sound, and with music, for me, I've always been sort of a more emotional producer. Like if I have an emotion, I put it into my song. That's how I've always done it, because I'm not a very emotional person myself. Like I don't display lots of emotion like in real life. But
I can relate to that a lot.
I could always convey it through music. Yeah.
And like whenever you sent me that song earlier today, I wasn't on the verge of tears, but like a part of me wanted to cry listening to it. Like, I don't know, just something I felt in that track was like a very powerful emotion. And I'm the same way with music. Like I'm not like big into lyrics or anything. I don't usually display my emotions, but like whenever I feel very emotional, I always like grab a guitar and just like crank out a song. And that's like usually how all of my, like what I would consider my best work comes out, is just a bunch of bottled up emotions that I get to squeeze into sound.
Yeah, if you thought that was sad, 2013, I actually I went through a lot of stuff. This is something else a lot of people don't know. I actually have I am actually traumatized. That I don't talk about it a lot, but that year was really bad. I wouldn't say what the reason was, but my music around that time, it's honestly like it's so beautiful to the point that I can't listen to it myself. I can't listen to it because it would make me sort of it would just make me reflect on like the stuff that I went through in 2013, and that's actually the stuff I love about the kind of music I make, is that it can actually make me feel that way.
It's like memories and sound.
It's honestly amazing. Yeah, exactly. And I've been producing for a long time. It's almost 9 years now. I can't remember exactly when I started, but I started in 2010. It's 2019 now. Where I see myself going with music, obviously, I've DJ'd a lot. I used to get a lot of gigs back in like 2015, 2016, but then I stopped because I just I focused on streaming. So I'm not sure where I want to go. I honestly, like, I've been approached by a few different labels, two of which were pretty big, but for some reason, I'm not sure why, but I always feel inclined to just turn them down. I don't want to be signed to a label because I feel like when I get signed to a label, they'll have expectations of me which I won't be able to fulfill and stuff like that. I just yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard to think about. It's hard to think where I want to go with it.
One of the questions I actually wanted to ask you was, do you find difficulty trying to balance the speedrunning side of your life and the musician side? And I think you kind of answered it there, that you would have to dedicate a lot more time to the music because the label would most likely require you to do so, whether it be like gigging or having like deadlines for releasing new music.
Yeah, I've actually talked to you this not long ago. I'll have like an idea in my head and I'll get it out, but I won't finish it into a full track. Like I do have a lot of finished tracks, but I have like 10 times as much like unfinished stuff that I could finish, but I just like I feel like I've already gotten it out. I feel like it's just when I need to get something out into music form, I get it out, and then that's it. Like I don't finish it. I got it out.
And one final question I had regarding music is that I've personally noticed a lot of speedrunners that are also musicians, and like I have like my own theory on why that is. Do you like have any theories as to why that is?
I never really thought about it, but I off the top of my head, I can't really think about any connection. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I can't think of any reason why.
For me, it's like rhythm. So like whenever I play like Mario 64, for example, like I think about like a rhythm. Like in my head, like I have this like a drum beat, like not really a drum beat, but like almost like a metronome going off whenever like I'm trying to like perform a trick. The best example I can come up with is the triple jump in moving TTC. Whenever you start off and you do the turning platforms, like I have like a duh, like this kind of thing, and I kind of dance to it like in my chair when I do it. But that to me was like the only thing that made sense, is there's like rhythm involved in the game. And like I know you, I know me and CCNeverender Drogi, who also does I think he also DJs and produces.
Drogi's the DJ,
and like plenty of other musicians that or speedrunners that I know that are also musicians. So I just found it really interesting, because like whenever I first joined the community, I didn't really expect to also be able to talk about music and producing or playing guitar or anything like that. But it turns out there's like a lot of musicians as well in the community. So I think that's really cool. There's a lot of crossover and interests.
Something I'm sure, like it's in my bio and stuff like that. A lot of people know is I'm actually an audio engineer. Like I finished my bachelor in audio engineer at the start of last year, the start of 2018. That's when I finished it, and that's actually something that I've been really passionate about as well. Is just sound, like audio, like be it acoustics or mixing or something like that. That's something I've really been interested in, and it might even transcend music. I don't know. It's hard to say, but that's I have these passions that I want to go for. That's why I went to university and stuff like that, and speed running, and it all just like it's all just there, and it's hard to. It's honestly like it's really really hard to say where or what I want to do with it, or where I want it to go.
You just know that you want to do it.
Yeah, I want to do it. That's all.
That's
I know.
awesome. And we have one final question from CC. If you'd like to go ahead.
My last question. Paracusia, what's your deal?
What's my deal? What's my deal?
I want you to answer that however you see fit.
I've actually had people ask me that before. My deal is that I'm extremely blunt and I say what's on my mind. That's my deal.
That's good.
That's all. That's always been my answer to that question because that's been the context of what that.
But usually
what
it's like an
that.
aggressive, like, what's your deal, dude? Like, what's going on? You know, like when someone's mad at
Yeah.
you. But I just love the idea of just say, like, what's your deal?
It's really interesting to hear everyone's answers because they're always different.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good question.
One thing before we get too far off topic, I need to show, at least I'll show it to y'all, I'll show it to Squid, but there's a video called like Melee and Jazz, where someone takes like a set in Melee and they play jazz music over it, sort of like based on what happens, like ting, ting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, like little hi-hats and drums and stuff, and it's really cool. Sort of like to feel the rhythm of what's going on screen being attached to, like, you know, notes and particular things. So that's what I thought of whenever you told me about the rhythm thing in speedrunning. So
That's really cool. I'll check it out.
yeah, I'll link it
But
here. But yeah,
Para, do you have any shout outs or plugs that you want to make? Like plug your Twitch, SoundCloud, Twitter, anything like that?
I do want to plug Blue Esports, obviously, my team. They're really good people, full of, you know, like the speedrunning team, full of like insanely good people. Love him. Our team captain, Kevin.
Yeah,
Crump,
shout out to him. He's awesome.
Shout out to him. He's gone through some rough times right now, but I do want to shout him out. He's just a wonderful guy. Honestly, like a really good friend. Shout outs to Punke, who I know is listening. Fuck that guy. Twitch.tv/Paracusia. DJ Paracusia is my Twitter handle. What else? My SoundCloud, I don't know. Like, I have 2 SoundClouds. I won't plug them. You just come to my stream and you'll know. Just ask me about it.
do you have your music up for free or for sale, or like where can they find your music?
Some of my stuff on my Okay, so I don't think I have any hardstyle up for download. I don't think I have any hardstyle up for listening. I just, for some reason, I don't upload the hardstyle, but my trance, on SoundCloud, on SoundCloud, if you search Paracusia, you'll find me. So a lot of my trance is actually up for free download on SoundCloud, and you can do that. My other SoundCloud account is Project Null. I don't think anything is up for download. But if you really want a track that's on Project Null, just ask me and I'll send it to you. Yeah, that's about it.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having
We
me.
had a nice little chat.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, and if you want to check us out, I'm SquidBird. You can find me at twitch.tv/SquidBird or Squid_bird. I think I forgot that last time. Twitter at YouGotMad or SoundCloud, also SquidBird.
Awesome. Yeah. And you can find me at twitch.tv/CCNeverender. You can also check me out on YouTube under the same name, or you can check out my main YouTube channel called Speed Docs, which is a speedrunning documentary website or a channel that, we're doing speedrun history stuff. So it's also where you find the podcast. So you probably knew that. But anyways.
My friends, thank you for the truly remarkable
Shout outs to Benny.
podcast. And yes, I love Benny.
I love Benny.
Shout outs to Benny.